Welcome, Madridistas. How are you? How are you doing? Well, this is a late video today to analyze some of the latest Real Madrid news. What this match has been like for Real Madrid ahead of their league debut at the Bernabeu. We are just a few hours away from that match against Real Sociedad. In fact, today we had Mourinho's press conference, and today we also had the presentation of Diomande. You know, it's something every day, and well,
It's something we've already accepted. It's something we've accepted.
but the fact is, it didn't have to be the biggest one, of course, right? But well, with Mbappe, there was a big presentation, even with Hendrik too. But for the most expensive signing in the club's history, to have a presentation like this, a new signing now at Real Madrid is still strange, but that's how it is. Just like the others have been, so is Diomandes.
But that's it. Tomorrow will be the best presentation in any case.
It's about them getting minutes at the Bernabeu in their debut and having a great match, and if possible, scoring goals and providing assists and everything. We will be live at the end of the match after what happens at the Bernabeu. Let's hope we win and get another 3 points, making it 6 in this league.
But before we get to Mourinho and his story with Miguelito from the Cope Network and a warning to journalists with whom he already had issues, let me show you this.
Well, it's a tweet I saw a little while ago, and it got my blood boiling a bit. And it's about Valverde the other day against Espanyol, which, as Alvaro MG says here, says minute 5 Valverde and his laziness in providing passing option. As always, I can't show the whole image because, moving images, because, well, due to La Liga, copyright, etc. But look at what the Real Madrid central midfielder does.
I go back to what I said the other day. Mourinho himself said it, with Valverde as a central midfielder next to Bernardo Silva.
Well, so what we do with Bernardo Silva, who has the ability to organize, but to a certain extent, we make him drop back a little from where he has always played, even though he has also sometimes played deep in the build-up, etc. But we lose, above all, as Mourinho said, we lose those forward runs and that attacking ability that Valverde has, that Fede has, right? And of course, that's the problem of not having a holding midfielder. I go back to the same point, by the way, a small side note. Today, since Tchouaméni hasn't trained, there's already a lot of speculation about whether Tchouaméni hasn't trained because the transfer market isn't closed yet with the issue of departures and all that. I can assure you of something.
Mourinho explained it in a press conference, and I believe what the Portuguese coach says.
Tchouaméni hasn't trained because he must have had not a relapse. I didn't want to call it that either. But it's like they haven't seen him at 100%. They've said, wait, instead of coming back any old way, it's better to come back properly. So wait a little longer. That's the official version from Madrid, according to their new spokesperson, Mourinho. And maybe there's something more worrying. We'll find out eventually, right? But anyway, for me, it's a big setback because I keep saying the same thing I said 2 or 3 videos ago. For me, if there are no new signings, the double pivot for Real Madrid has to be Tchouaméni and Bernardo because they're the ones who work best together. I mean, the ones who fit best in that position.
Because of their qualities, which are very different from each other.
One is a defensive midfielder, a holding player, and so on. And the other is the creative part that the first one lacks to try to make them work together. Hey, maybe they'll work really well together, or maybe they won't because they've never played together. Both of them played for Monaco, but they didn't play at the same time. So, well, but look at this with Valverde. Damn it, you say, hey, he's not a holding midfielder.
All right. Okay, he's not a defensive midfielder. But is it really that hard to offer passing lanes here, honestly? To try to be.
Remember for a moment, I know it makes you uncomfortable, that you're allergic to it and all, but remember that it's not a bad example, even though many of you hate it and all that. It's not a bad example.
The world champion.
Why has Spanish soccer succeeded in this World Cup? I've already gotten over the fact that many of you now write to me, insult me, whatever. I don't know about Spain, about whatever, about Barca. I don't care. Right now, that's where soccer is heading. And if you, as a defensive midfielder, don't offer yourself constantly as a solution to your center backs, creating those triangles to always be that third man who's free, who offers an outlet for the play.
To your defenders.
So what the hell are you playing at? Right? Look at what Valverde does. He just wanders around. I mean, he's not looking, but it's actually Bellingham here who drops back to offer this passing option, for example, and the solution for runs. Look at Valverde. I can't move this too much, because I can't show the play continuously. But look at Valverde, man. I mean, there's a guy behind him. Hey, damn it, move. Look for that free space to give Real Madrid that outlet in their play. You're the central midfielder. You're not just anyone. You're the one who has to channel that ball out from the back. Besides Bernardo Silva, of course, who I also see here as being very far from Valverde. But anyway, the responsibility fell on Fede. So with this, I insist, we're not getting anywhere. They asked Mourinho what Fede is, and he said, well, for me, he's a midfielder. I still see him as a winger. What do you want me to say? Listen, Mourinho said for me, he's a midfielder. I hope the Portuguese coach realizes it as the months go by, and I hope that he won't hesitate. So that the things that don't work, if Vinicius stops defending tomorrow, if Mbappe stops defending, if every time Valverde is used there, he keeps providing these kind of solutions. In Real Madrid's build-up play, well, hey, just cut it off at the root. I hope so. Even if at some point things don't work out in midfield, since we have an amazing team, but I repeat, we have a problem in midfield that when January comes,
The only coach Florentino listened to for a January signing, the only one he paid attention to, I think the last one, was Mourinho, right?
Manolito, the Adebayor signing was for Mourinho. Why? Because, hey, I lost a striker to injury, and that striker was Higuain that year. Someone to replace him. That's it. Well, maybe they'll listen to Mourinho again, but let's not get ahead of ourselves for now. There's still a long way to go. A long way. Even though it's good to talk about these things in advance, even though it bothers a lot of people, it bothers you. There aren't many of you, but there are some who are bothered by it. Do you see any problems? No, it's not that we see problems. It's just that, well, yes, we do see them. We see them, damn it. But it's better to see them and talk about them than to say that everything is fine.
I mean, we're not Real Madrid television here. With all due respect to Real Madrid television, they do a good job, but there are never going to be any criticisms there, damn it.
But anyway, let's move on to something positive and fun, which is what happened today between Mourinho and Miguelito.
Saying this to him at one point during the press conference.
Miguelito says, he talks about the information he has that comes from Real Madrid and what he knows and all that. Well, let's see. Since journalism has existed, naturally you look for your sources of information. And especially in these cases, here the problem isn't the journalist, right? The problem is the mole or the guy who leaks, of course, but the journalist is just trying to do his job.
You're going to tell me now that they're shameless or whatever, okay? But the journalist, imagine, put yourself in their shoes.
There are some who are shameless, yes, but many just want information from inside where things are happening. If it turns out they find someone who agrees to that, then the problem is with that person, not the journalist. Well, I was telling you this, that, by the way, what Mourinho said to Miguelito was really good, and you'll see what happens. This part was public. But the other thing, what happened at the end of the press conference wasn't. And that's what I'm going to reveal to you now, which other people have already done on social media. And maybe you've already seen it, which is that last conversation Mourinho has with Miguelito as he's leaving the press conference. But first,
Something interesting is already happening to me. You have contact with people who work here.
Yes.
That's what we journalists live on or try to live on, because if not, I wanted to ask you if that's the case, if you also see yourself as calmer, more, well.
And then this happened. Leaving here now, Mourinho doesn't forget. For now, Mourinho is being friendly because he manages timing very well. He says, why should I burn myself out so much at the start of the season? But he keeps leaving. He keeps leaving clues about what he wants inside Real Madrid. And he wants it to be like a bunker so that no information comes out of there again, because he had a really hard time with that before, right? With the leaks from inside.
And the thing is, he has contacts.
He says, and this guy has contacts there.
A lot.
A lot. And Mourinho says a lot.
All right. I told you I was going to leave with my fear. I did.
Like he says, and when the day comes, let's see, wait. he said something before.
Just a moment.
I told you I was going to leave with my
Number. And the day they start talking crap, I go bam, bam, bam. Well, of course, he already did it. For now, he laughs. And they laugh. And they laugh. That's good enough there. Hey, the defense Mourinho made for Vinicius today in the press conference was really good. I know a lot of people were really struck by the part when he mentioned Negreira. I understood it from the perspective of what I talked about in the video after the press conference. Because there are people who thought he was too soft about the Negreira thing and all that. I took it more as many years have already gone by. And even though there are people here, which he didn't say, this is what we're saying, that Sanchez Martinez might owe his promotion to Negreira, for example, the one who refereed our match against Espanyol the other day. For now, he's taking a conciliatory approach, saying he thinks he did a good job refereeing and so on. And I have no reason to think that these people still owe favors to a man who's no longer there. What I was saying about that is that this man is no longer there, but the system still has its own inertia. Damn, if not, we keep going back to the numbers. The fouls that are necessary for Vinicius to get, for Vinicius' opponents to get a yellow card. Today we saw the numbers, let's remember them now.
In the UAS article in the La Galerna, and the fouls that are necessary for Vinicius or his opponents to get a yellow card.
It's just that the difference is huge in the league, but in Europe they're very similar. Damn, this means something.
Just like with the refereeing balance, etc. I mean, a million things in recent years. Negreira isn't there anymore, but there's still some inertia. There's still an issue. Maybe it's because of revenge from the referees against Real Madrid television, or because we've complained that their former boss was corrupt and many there benefited from the corruption that was in place,
etc. Whatever it is, the numbers are there and there are statistical aberrations, right? But Mourinho at one point says, I want to believe in the honesty of the referees. That's regarding Negreira. As for Vinicius, what he says is, let's talk to him.
The issue is about his relationship with the crowds at away grounds and so on.
And not long ago, it really bothered a lot of people who defended Vinicius when we or others said this. Mourinho already said it. It won't happen anymore. Well, that's good. That's good. At least we've made a bit of progress there because it's clear that something needs to be solved regarding Vinicius, regarding the player. Although the problem isn't with him, I insist.
It's with those who provoke. We've always said that here.
Let's not get confused. Where does the problem originate? It's with the people who, even before Vinicius has played a single match in a stadium, are already insulting him in every possible way. From players he hasn't done anything to, because Vinicius has never made a bad tackle. Nacho Peña said this the other day, and it's true, he's never made a bad tackle. They're already kicking him in the second or third minute, and that's what Mourinho is referring to. The judge, not the referee, the judge has to punish that, so that what happens is not that the opposing player says, damn, there are no consequences here, so let's keep kicking him. And of course, that's the problem, and that's the root of the problem. He was really good.
Tomás Guas wrote this in his article in La Galeza. He puts it simply.
Well, he titles it this way. He says, if it's not bullying, what is it? He says it's simple. Harassment is harassment. Our language gets even the illiterate out of trouble, you know? At the end of the match, because instead of calling it bullying, it's the same thing, but in Spanish, right? He says, at the end of the match in Cornella, Mourinho said that Vinicius suffers bullying and put the mob in its place. The professionals in sport journalism and similar fields are the ones who have spoken out the most on this matter, most of them against what the Portuguese coach said. I didn't think it was appropriate to bother any friends or acquaintances who are psychologists about this, psychiatrists, educational psychologists, and so on a Sunday in August, no less. They weren't going to have any influence on the main issue, and I can handle that myself. The main thing, and I'll elaborate later, is to recognize the immense love that Vinicius feels for Real Madrid. It seems clear that one of the characteristics of bullying is the intention to cause harm. It's not a random or accidental event. Also, it's repetitive, not an isolated situation. Insults, mockery, threats, hurtful nicknames, and so on are part of the scene. Look, here they show the image of that bite to Vinicius right after he arrived in Spain. The other day I posted it, for example, they started by biting his head, then they got off a bus and called him a monkey. They went back to tackling him in the first minutes of a match, hitting him with their studs on the calf, or the other day kicking him in the lower back, and so on. And it gets to the situation where, interestingly, there are people who believe that it's Vinicius who's provoking and not the other way around. I'm the one saying this. Go ahead, Quas. What happens to Vinicius may or may not be bullying. but it sure smells like blatant bullying. It's a situation that's been part of his life since he arrived in Spain at 18 years old in a reserve team derby. One of the Athletic players beat him on the head, and it's been like that ever since. Among those who defend that this isn't bullying are many of the same people who claimed and still claim that monkey noises, die and fucking black weren't and aren't racism, but rather an understandable reaction from spectators who say Vinicius provokes and drives them crazy with his behavior. They said they were going to prove it, telling us that the people behind such lovely expressions didn't use them with other black players. So, in the end, the one to blame was Vinicius, the black guy who broke their standards. And does rivalry make people lose their minds? You know how it is. That was even said in court. It's unbelievable, but it's true. They actually used that as an excuse, didn't they? Oh, there have been 26 complaints over racist incidents involving Vinicius in Spain. 26. There isn't a single soccer player or athlete who even comes close to that, which makes me think that this can be fixed, that there's no solution to this. First, we should highlight how much he must love Madrid. Second, so much so that he has renewed his contract until 2031, until 2032, as far as I know. I would have left right away. His nervous system would have been eternally grateful. Just 2 matches in Spain have been enough to see that his situation isn't going to change. He set foot in Riazor for the first time, and they booed him as if he were a Celta star, even though in Depor's history, Madrid, Vinicius' team, has been an extraordinary ally deserving of a place right in the center of Riazor, but that doesn't count either. Vinicius came out, played in the Tirisa Herrera Trophy, and they booed him. First official match. What can he do? El español contra Vinicius así de entrada, se me escapa. Y eso que...
The fuse was lit by an off-the-ball kick from the young Calatrava to number 7. It should have been a yellow card. But no card came out. Like so many times, everyone in the stadium saw it except the linesman. There's a photo with him just a few meters away.
The referee, and then the VAR, which sometimes doesn't intervene because it shouldn't, and other times because it doesn't want to. Statistics show that Vinicius' marker, or whoever is marking him, takes more than half an hour to be booked, if they are booked at all. He receives most of the first fouls in the match, and usually from different opponents. Strategy, they say, the one the referee trio lacks, or maybe not. They just pretend not to see. On this occasion, Calatrava himself was the first to be booked. He was booked for unsporting behavior in the 32nd minute. In that same play, Vinicius was also shown a yellow card, okay? It's a lot. It's been many years. It can't be a coincidence. Pay attention to the statistic from Mr. Collins. Lamine Yamal's defenders get a yellow card every 3 fouls in league play. Those who are in charge of marking Vinicius get one every 16. When it comes to red cards, the defenders marking Vinicius get one every 68 serious fouls, and those from in get one every 11. In Europe, Min and Vinicius are tied. Every 3 fouls committed against both. The opponents get a yellow card. For both of them, it's every 3. Number, there's no remedy. There are loves that hurt. That's what my grandmother used to say. The love between Vinicius and Madrid comes with no anesthetic. It's just that those stats with Min are mind-blowing. They're absolutely crazy. Well, there's something else. There's something about Min that today they have. Let me see if I have it here. Okay, they did this today. I don't know if it was on El Día Después, the day after. Okay. Like it says here, Jamil Moma. I don't know if there's a little joke in there, but anyway, he's a Twitter user.
He says there's no lip reading here, no caricatured voices, no comedic narration, no behavior analysis. It's Barca and it's Lamine.
Comparing it to when they make videos with Real Madrid and with Vinicius doing their voices, also imitating Rudiger, imitating Bellingham, imitating Mbappe, and so on. Here, I'm not going to play the video. Well, I can't. But there's a very condescending attitude toward Lamine, like saying, what's wrong with Lamine? And honestly, what happened with Lamine was a disgrace. I mean, this gesture on the bench, there's this melancholic look during the match, this constant melancholic gesture throughout the game. When Rafinha tells him, no, I'm taking the penalty, he walks away like that. He's not getting along with his teammates. He's not doing well on the bench. He's not doing well anywhere. You can see he's sad. But come on, man. You're a multi-millionaire.
You play for Barca.
You just won the World Cup with Spain. But what's this guy's problem? But since it's not Vinicius, if Vinicius were doing this, having just won the World Cup 2 days ago, what would people be saying? What would people be saying? It's Lamine. And Lamine is, because that's how it is, a star in the Spanish national team and all. He's protected by the press. And Vinicius isn't. Therefore, let's add to what people do against Vinicius, referees who don't act as judges. Because of the data we just saw, and then also because of the press. The big
the difference in the way Vinicius is treated by all these football figures and how Lamine Yamal is treated by the same people, right?
Well, that's it for now. Hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.